Have you ever gone in on a decision so far in, like all in, that there was no turning back? That's where we are today. We just gutted a house. Welcome to Cakes and Conversations. Today there is no cake, but I do want to have a conversation about why we have decided to gut a house. When you gut a house, which I've never done before, we're learning as we go. Thanks to YouTube for showing all the videos that are teaching us how to do it. You do a lot of work. We haven't had an interview in the last 3 weeks on Cakes and Conversations because we've really spent our extra time over here at this house, tearing out cabinets, tearing up floors, closing off plumbing, building walls, moving walls, this wall behind, removing that wall. Because 3 weeks ago on Cakes and Conversations, we interviewed Dr. Sarah, and Dr. Sarah shared about her journey with cerebral palsy, and she's a wheelchair user, but we couldn't film in our house. Our house has stairs leading up to it on all sides, and even if she got inside, it wouldn't have been wheelchair friendly for her. It would have been a challenge inside. And in order to make this house a place where people with disabilities, people of all abilities can come to live in community, to share their stories, to build friendships, to have experiences, we had to go to some extreme measures. We had to open up some walls. We had to make some space in order to film in this kitchen right back here. I know it doesn't look like a kitchen, but one day, hopefully soon, there will be a kitchen back here. And we'll have the opportunity to have guests come into this house, whether they are a wheelchair user or not, and to be interviewed, to share their stories, to create. We do share that every creation is beautiful and everyone deserves to be treated like royalty. Well, in order to start treating, we needed to make some changes. Because we've decided to go all in. You see, when you go halfway, I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to teach tumbling. And when I would teach backflips, we would always say halfway hurts. You don't ever want to do a backflip halfway. Well, the Davenports, that's our family. We live about 2 blocks south of crazy. A bit of chaos most of the time. But I think it's at that place of chaos and craziness where you realize your need for God. And that if you're going to go all in and really trust in Him, you've got to take a chance. So buying a new house, renovating a house, going all in and gutting is definitely not in the budget, was not in the plans. But we trust that God's got big things in store. And I'm sharing this with you today because I want you to know you play a big role in this. You are the reason that we are producing these shows. We have the guest in the kitchen because we want to celebrate them. But as we celebrate them, we have you in mind. We know that if you take the time to watch and you share this with your family and you change how you experience disability, maybe we ask the questions you've wanted to ask or invite you into understanding the life of someone lives with a disability. Maybe it'll change how you treat others. Maybe it'll change what your church does or your organization or your business. Instead of feeling like making a place wheelchair accessible is so expensive and it takes away from chairs and it's hard to get somebody to the stage and we're going to lose prime real estate in order to do that, or we'll have to spend extra money on a bathroom and renovating. And instead of thinking about why you shouldn't do it, what if we flip the script and we begin to think about what could really happen if we changed how we approach disability, change how we experience disability? And sometimes that means you go all in. Sometimes that means you gotta double down. Sometimes that means you gut the house. Because once you gut the house, there's no turning back. Today, as I was pulling out the last cabinets, I was really convicted because I realized we're all in. Now, most people may have realized they're all in when they pulled out the first cabinets or ripped up the floors. But it was that last cabinet today that made me realize we were all in. And I'd be lying if I didn't say there's not some fear involved in that. But do you know what it's like to get an email from a mom who says, "Thank you for celebrating my kid. Thank you for celebrating my child and giving them an opportunity to share their story." Or an email I got from another mom who doesn't have a child with a disability in their house. And she said, "We were at the grocery store and my daughter, who's been watching your show, said," she saw somebody with a disability, and she said, instead of running away, instead of staring, instead of acting awkward, she looked over and said, "Hey, Mom, there's someone with a disability. Let's go talk to him." That girl was changed. She changed how she experienced disability. You know what it's like to be hired by the If Gathering and to have the opportunity to hire Michael and Marquise, two young adults with disabilities, to come and create with me so we could serve an organization, to employ them. They were so proud. You know, it's like to hear from one of your friends who said she was at a track meet and saw Riley, and she screamed out to Riley because she was fangirling really hard. Kind of freaked him out a little bit. But how cool was that he got to feel like a rock star that day? It's story after story after story. Our friends with disabilities are being changed. Jack drove from Mississippi to Atlanta, Georgia to film. And almost 3,000 views later, and growing. People are being impacted by his show because he drove and did that, and you watched and you shared it. Well, you know what Jack doesn't know and what you don't know is I've received multiple emails from friends of his who also have been diagnosed with Prader-Willi syndrome, who want to be on the show. They want to share their story. All this being said, as we haven't put out a show in the last few weeks because we decided to double down. We're going all in because we believe that every creation is beautiful. And everyone deserves to be treated like royalty. In order to treat someone like royalty, you may need to go all in. You may not need to gut a kitchen. You may not need to build a ramp. Going all in for you might mean just having a conversation with someone with a disability. It might mean making a friend who's not like you. It might mean inviting someone out to meet you for lunch, or a parent of someone who's raising a child with a disability and caring for them. It might mean sacrificing a little bit of you, thinking a little bit outside the box, and changing how you experience disability. Let's do this. Will you go all in? We've decided we're going to keep going until God tells us to stop, and He hasn't said stop yet. So we're going to get the house. We're going to make a studio right over my shoulder in this empty kitchen where we can film guests soon. Because there's more stories to share. And we believe it's worth it. Because we believe when God created you, and God created me, and God created people with disabilities, that He said every creation is beautiful. And everyone deserves to be treated like royalty. So let's start treating. We'll see you in this kitchen.